Hi, this is Richard C. I'm a math tutor here at Wyzant and answering a question submitted by a student. Um, they want us to prove an identity, and this is something you do all the time in pre-calc, and so it's a typical question. What makes the question atypical, however, is they're telling you what to do. So usually you're not given instructions on what to do. You're usually just told to solve. And the teacher will remind you that you can only solve these by working on one side of the equation, either the left side or the right side. You cannot treat this as you would a regular equation where you could work both sides. So I'm just going to copy this out. So we have the tangent of u minus secant u equals negative cosine u over 1 plus sine u. Okay, so that's what we're supposed to prove. And then we're basically told to work on the left side. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do what I'm told here. And they're telling us to replace the tangent and the secant with sine and cosine. So we're using some very simple identities, which I will point out to you as we proceed. Let me put them in red over here. So one of them is that oops, I don't want that in red. Here we go. So one of them is that the tangent, I'm going to use x here. Tangent of x is sine x over cosine x. And another identity we're going to use is that the secant of x, secant x is 1 over the cosine of x. And then the last identity we're going to use is this is called the Pythagorean identity, and there's 3 of them actually. The main one, sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. So these are the identities we're going to use. You're going to be learning much more advanced identities than these. These are considered fairly simple introductory kinds of things. And then when you get deeper into the course, you'll probably be dealing with more complicated identities. But I'm going to use this first identity, tangent, and just rewrite the tangent. So this is going to be the sine of u over the cosine of u minus 1 over the cosine of u. I'm not going to bother rewriting the right-hand side. I'm just going to put an equals here and leave that blank. I think it's a waste of time. So now we're just going to, we noticed right away, of course, that this is a common denominator. So we can combine this now. So we've done this part so far, and that has been done. Common denominator, that's the step we're on now. And because it's a common denominator, we can write this as the sine of u minus 1 all over cosine of u, like that. So we did that. Rewrite the expression by multiplying top and bottom by the sine of u plus 1. Okay, so in school, the teacher would use a vocabulary word. He would say multiply, or she would say multiply this by the conjugate. So the conjugate is sine u plus 1 over sine u plus 1. Sorry, that's a little ugly there. So this is just multiplying by 1, right? This thing, sine u plus 1 over sine u plus 1 is just 1. So by multiplying this, we're not changing the value of the first fraction because we're just multiplying that first fraction by 1. Okay. Now, I'll just put an equals here. Okay, so we did that. And now we're on simplifying the answer. So we're going to simplify the answer by distributing here. So on the top, I'm going to get sine squared u plus sine u minus sine u minus 1 all over cosine u times sine u plus 1. Now you might be wondering, well, why didn't I distribute this cosine? I mean, I distributed on top. Why didn't I distribute on the bottom? Well, the reason I didn't distribute it on the bottom is because I'm looking at my target. All the while that I'm doing one of these things, I'm looking at the target. I can see that there's a 1 plus sine u here in the denominator of my target, so I'm going to leave that right where it is, just the way it is. I'm not going to mess with that guy. Okay, so now these go away, they cancel. Sine squared u minus 1 over cosine u times sine u plus 1. Okay, so write the numerator. Okay, so we just finished that step. Okay, now sine squared minus 1, you see, if you look at the identity here, if you just rewrite this identity, bring the 1 over, you're going to have sine squared minus 1. And then you have to put the cosine squared on the other side. So the sine squared minus 1 is just equal to cosine squared, negative cosine squared of u. You see why? It's because sine squared minus 1 is equal to negative cosine squared. So we have negative cosine squared over cosine u times, I'll write it now, 1 plus sine squared. I'll just change the order there just to show you that we have a perfect match. And then there's just one last step where we're going to cancel. Cosine squared over cosine will cancel, and that's going to leave you with negative cosine u over 1 plus sine squared u. And we're done, because that now we've got something that's exactly like the target, matches the target exactly. And to get rid of this cosine squared over cosine, we used the cancellation property, because cosine squared over cosine cancel each other. So there we are. And that's the solution to this one. It's a nice problem in a lot of ways, because if you're just starting out, it's nice to have a problem that that gives you, hints along the way. These hints can really kind of build your confidence in the beginning. But it's actually a very easy identity proof, and just keep plugging away at them, and I think you'll get better and better at them with practice. Okay, so that's it for today. See you next time. Bye-bye.